You know, when I started Motorhead, I thought, well, nobody's going to want to hear this, but I want to do it anyway, you know. And now, 16 years later, I'm still doing it. Same horrible fucking band, you know. And people are still queuing up to see it, so it's all right. The easy way to survive is to, you don't give up, right? I mean, it's just as simple as that. I never considered giving up.
Motorhead are really a very hard group to sum up in one sentence, but I think if you had to do it, you could do no better than going back to their very earliest reviews, and particularly the one that said, if Motorhead moved in next door to you, your lawn would die. I think that says it all.
Motorhead, for me, are the most fantastic adrenaline rush in the world. And you have to have it, at least once a year, if not more. And without it, life just isn't the same.
There was one in Barcelona in Spain, and the audience, the place was absolutely packed solid. It was a pretty big venue, and when the lights went out and we walked on, it erupted. The noise was incredible. I was walking on with Lemmy and went, listen to this. They're up for it, aren't they? And it was deafening. We had a fantastic gig. But we have lots of great shows all over the place: Japan, Brazil, Argentina, and Australia. Everywhere we played, really. We had Germany, Hammersmith, of course. Terrific.
Oh, I had a ball. I had an absolute ball. And Lemmy, you know, people think he's Mr. Hardman and all this. He's not. He's just big softy. He's useless. He's a big softy.
What?
If someone said, well, what is a Motorhead? Well, it's Lemmy. Still believing, still doing it, still being Lemmy, not giving a toss about any, you should be doing this, Lemmy, you should be doing that. Lemmy does what Lemmy wants to do. Lemmy is a great musician. He's a great musician, a great rocker, and a great example for children.
Shut up! You talk too loud! You don't fit in with the crowd!
In a way, that's the sort of way that we worked as a record label, is that we would take the image and the music and cater to the fans that we knew were there. And we understood that market. I think the reason that the majors never signed Motorhead effectively was they just simply didn't understand the music. They don't understand touring.
Why is there so much violence on the road? Why do you break things in auto roads? I mean, the violence. I mean, when you start doing things.
Fucking violence!
I mean, one of the interesting things that I did find is, because I always go and check out bands live before I work with them. The interesting thing about Motorhead is you stick your fingers in your ears when they're playing.
Loudest band in the world reputation. I think they built the biggest sound system this country at that time had ever seen. But I can tell you, I was at the sound check, standing in the middle of the bloody football field, and it was like, black, as Man of War said, it was the black wind. No, that's loud.
I remember a few gigs I walked past my stacks, I thought I could only hear them. Well, I got to Lemmy and I could only hear him. And I walked across the other side of the station, all I could hear was Phil. I thought, good God, all their hearing's gone.
Not to lose, it's for fools, but that's the way I like it, babe. I don't want to live forever.
You're hearing basic, brutal, raw rock and roll, loud, in your face, the way it's meant to be.
I had no idea who Lemmy was. I hadn't really heard of Hawkwind. I had no idea. In fact, I think it took me a long time to realise that Lemmy sang on Silver Machine with Hawkwind, and if you've ever heard that record, you wouldn't believe that it was Lemmy. I mean, he sings really well, I mean, properly, whereas when he sings on Motorhead, he's singing this gravelly, I don't know quite how he gets there, but it's a completely different voice. So I wasn't even aware of that.
Well, the problem with Lemmy and Hawkwind is more of a visa problem than anything else, because he had a... It wasn't that he was doing drugs and the others were clean, but the fact because he had a conviction, he couldn't get a visa to get into America, and Hawkwind had an American tour coming up, and they wanted to do that American tour. They couldn't do it at their bassist, and rather than thinking, we'll draft somebody else in temporarily, they kicked Lemmy out.
No, I got fired from Hawkwind, you know. Actually, Hawkwind was very similar to Motorhead. If you listen inside Hawkwind, there's a three-piece rock band. Right, you get all this talili and toot-toot on the top, but inside is a rock band, three-piece rock and roll band, you know. I just wanted to play like, I wanted to be the MC5, really. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to have a singer and two guitarists, you know, in the beginning. And then, of course, you know, the singer gave it up, you know, and one of the guitarists couldn't get along with the other one, you know. It's my solo, no, it's mine. You know, guitar players, all bloody same. So I ended up, I had to do the singing, you know. Jesus. So we just wound up as a three-piece. Everything in your life really is accidents, you know what I mean? The whole thing. You think about it, all the important parts of your life is an accident. Everything that you plan is shit, but the accidents is when you go up, yeah?
Fast Eddie Clarke was actually Curtis Knight, Soul Man's guitarist. And he, for whatever reason, decided to audition for Motorhead and had the beautiful moment of Lemmy knocking on his door at some ungodly hour with a leather jacket and a bullet belt saying, "You've got the gig, man. Sniff this, drink this and sign here." And Filthy, I think, was just a little punk who came down from somewhere up north, and Lemmy took him under his wing. And especially when he found out he could drum the way that he drummed. I think that's all to do with large amounts of decongestant nasal powders that they used to use. But I mean, yeah, it was, well, all basically formed from Lemmy being pissed off at being sacked from Hawkwind, and thank God he was, because we wouldn't have Motorhead now.
Motorhead's very first track was the song Motorhead, which of course was the Hawkwind number. Now it's not that different from the way Hawkwind did it. Slightly less psychedelic, slightly heavier and slightly dirtier, but not that far removed. But it's a great introduction because it sets the scene for everything Motorhead have done since in what is now coming up to 30 years together. So if you want to introduce yourself to the band, listen to the anthem, the eponymous anthem.
To this day, you can't go to a Motorhead show and not have them play Motorhead. You know, this is what you want from a Motorhead show. When you buy a ticket to see Motorhead, you must see them play Motorhead. It's the law.
Motorhead, first album, released August 1977. Sadly, it didn't chart. Possibly not the most high-quality recorded album ever in the world, but I think it firmly stamped Motorhead's sound and the direction it was going to go onto the world.
The first Motorhead album was an absolute classic. I remember Nick Kent in the NME reviewed it and called them the worst band in the world, which Lemmy has never forgiven him for, but in actual fact made you incredibly curious. I mean, if this is the worst band in the world, how cool must that be?
What happened was that they had a tour. We had a booking agency as well as a record label, and the booking agency had arranged a UK tour for Motorhead, and the promoter said to them, if you don't get a single out, there's nothing for me to promote, I'm going to cancel the tour. So Neil Warnock, who ran Bron Agency, came to me and said, look, we've got a real problem here because we've got this tour, it's all ready to go, but the promoter says unless there's a single out there, he's going to cancel the tour. And I said, well, anyone put a single out. He said, well, no one will put out a single of Motorhead. So I said, well, I'll put it out on Bronze, you know, it costs nothing to do it. So we put out Louie Louie, and I heard Louie Louie just before it came out, and I thought it was the worst record I'd ever heard in my life, and it went in the charts at number 73, first week in. So I thought, I have to be wrong here, and I went to the Odeon Hammersmith and saw them for the first time, and realised, you know, 5,000 people going completely potty, that they were a band that we should be signing, and that's how we signed them.